Hey yo, Mad Dog Boxing. I had to change the name of the channel, because Mad Dog was like my nickname all through pretty much my 20s, right? But like two, three different, maybe even four different jobs that I had. It just seemed to follow me around. And so, like, I just thought it's a bit easier than Butcher of a Silk Button. Like, and the other thing is that a lot of people don't know about Shakespeare. Unfortunately, people aren't literary connoisseurs such as myself. So people are like, Butcher of Silk Barn, what does that even mean? So because I thought it was a bit of a mouthful, we're switching to Mad Dog Boxing. I might switch it back. Let me know what you guys think. Put something in the comments. Which one do you prefer, right? But let's get straight into the news. I'm gonna try and make these quicker as well. Um, ain't nobody got half an hour to be listening to some random dude chatting about boxing. Anthony Joshua, looking like he's picked a new trainer. Finally, Derek James out of Dallas, Texas. Also, the trainer of Errol the Truth, Spence, as well as Jamel Charlo. For those who are wondering, that's Jamel is the unified champion, if not undisputed champion at 154. His brother being Jamal Charlo, who's at 160. Now, listen, I think tactically, if you look at what Derek James does really well and you look at what his marquee fighters do really well, this is a very good choice for Anthony Joshua, right? Both guys are vicious body punchers, right? Errol Spence is a great body puncher. Jamel Charlo is a great body puncher. And AJ, if you look at the last two fights, where he was doing well, but he just didn't have that conviction within himself to follow up, was hurting Usyk to the body, right? And I'm sure you guys, same as me, were all screaming at the TV saying, hit him to the body, hit him to the body. Often ain't that simple, especially if you ain't been working on that. And I mean, I could make a whole video on why AJ's last trainer was a bag of shit, but when you got amateur coach, you don't get points in the amateurs for body shots. You know what I mean? You don't get points for body shots. So if you got an amateur coach, you are never going to develop a world-class body shot. And so that's something that technically is a very good sign. Also, when we look at Errol Spence, we look at Jamal Charlo, their style of fighting is very much a high guard, a high volume output, right? And ultimately keeping everything very predictable. Okay, maybe predictable is not the right word, but methodical, right? They are fighters that like to come forward methodically, keep a high guard, get on their jab, get onto the body punches, and essentially beat you up, right? They're not trying to walk you into nothing. They're not trying to be too clever on the back foot. This isn't like the Mayweather camp. This Dallas style, the both Spence and Charlo fight out of, is very much about hands up high, throwing a high volume of punches, shooting to the body, shooting to the head, and just beating somebody up. Okay, like I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that's how Errol Spence fights. That's how Jamel Charlo fights, right? They use their physical attributes to come forward, put it on you, and see if you can take it and mitigate risk with a high guard. And they do that very disciplined. And the thing that you always see about Errol Spence, you always see about Jamal Charlo is that they look $1 million, at the weigh-in. And so you need to have certain physicality at genetic level to be able to execute that style, right? You can't be some fleet-footed, feather-fisted fighter to fight in the Derek James style. But if we look at Andy Joshua, he's got all of the physical attributes that a heavyweight could ever want. Something also I think is going to go in favor is the Derek James himself. He campaigned as high as light heavyweight and even a couple of cruiserweight fights. So, people say that boxing's boxing, but the truth is the heavyweight boxing is a different domain, it's a different discipline, right? And so somebody that's got experience at the higher weight classes as well, I think is going to work in his favor. The only thing that I'll say from a non-technical point of view and just looking at a cultural point of view, the news is that AJ is actually going to go and be a part of the gym. And I think that that's a really good sign. I don't buy into this whole idea that, when you're the man, you need to have a whole camp to yourself. And, it's the AJ training camp. And, there's talk about the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield. It was just being locked down just for AJ. And, they had fucking Robert Garcia flying here, there, and everywhere just to run the camp, and you saw Robert Garcia come out and say that, hey, he should have come out to Oxnard and trained, in my gym with my fighters, because that way, when you're training with real dogs every single day, you can't call up and say, yo, I didn't sleep very well, I'm not training today. Or, I mean, I'm not sparring today, blood. Do you know what I mean? Man didn't wake up with a woody, so, you know what I mean? I'm not really feeling it. No, bro. No, when you're in the gym with undisputed champions, unified champions, you know what I mean? If from 147 to 154, Derek James is holding 7 out of the 8 titles. So when you're in the gym with real dogs, you need to humble yourself and put in that work. So I think that's a positive thing as well. Apparently this hasn't been confirmed, but AJ wasn't too happy about the disciplinarianism that was going on under Robert Garcia. And this could go two ways. We're really deep into the hypotheticals here, but it's not as if like Errol Spence and Jamal Charlo, don't live up outside the ring. You know what I mean? If anything, there's a little bit too much nightlife going on. As Errol Spence's totaled fucking Ferrari will probably attest to. So hopefully AJ doesn't fall into that life. You know what I mean? The dirty South with like 12 fucking chains on and that, wearing like a half of some South African diamond mine around his neck and that. And getting too much into the Dallas party lifestyle. But yeah, I think it's probably a good move. And it sounds like AJ is going to be back in April at the O2 Arena against a decent opponent. Eddie Hearn came out and gave an interview with IFL to say that all this talk of him fighting this Australian bum, I don't know what his name is, Clint Dempsey or Dempsey Usman, I don't know what the geezer's name is, yeah, but apparently it's not him, yeah. It's not some joker. It's going to be a real opponent. You've seen Otto Wallin coming out and saying he wants to fight. Personally, I think that's a little bit too risky for the first fight back. You've seen Joe Parker say that he wants the rematch. I like that fight. The fact is AJ beat him the first time round and he beat him quite comfortably. I don't think Joseph Parker is as good as he is now. As good now as he was then. I think AJ is probably better now than he was then. The fact that he's beltless is just a function of, he came up against an elite fighter in Usyk. So, especially if Joseph Parker just holding a beatdown against Joe Joyce, and getting stopped, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like that's a well-known opponent to the British public. He's been out recently. He's been stopped. He's been in a lot of wars against the likes of Dylan White as well. And yeah, I think it would do good numbers at the O2 and some good banter. And I think AJ could, probably maybe get the stoppage this time. So yeah, man, that's the roundup. We're trying to keep this short and sharp. We're going to come in with a lot more content. You know what I mean? It's been a couple of days off, had a couple of mad things going on. But yeah, we're going to be coming thick and fast with this content. So like and subscribe. I don't know how to outro. Peace.